Good morning, dear students. This is your English teacher, Ms. Rita Yadav. I welcome you all on my English channel. Today, I have come up with an interesting video. This video is all about the poem. This poem is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Today, we are going to deal with part 1. Now you must be eager to know the name of the poem. The name of the poem is Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. As usual, before we study the poem, we need to understand about the poet. William Wordsworth is a British poet. He was born in 1770 and died in 1850. He made his debut as a writer in 1787 and was published a sonnet in European magazine. He was generally regarded as one of the most important English Romantic poets. He belonged to the so-called first generation of Romantic poets. In 1790, he went on a walk tour to France and Italy and spent a year in France and became a part of a French Revolution. In 1791, he graduated in Cambridge. That was all about poet. Now we move to poem. Before you study poem, I would like to give the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem is all about the imagination concept and how beautifully the poet has mingled, or you can say had united man with the nature. So imagination, and under this topic, see under the theme, this poem is all about the power of imagination to transform common everyday event into representation of a larger reality. You have to imagine how this common day-to-day activity is regarded as a large reality, represented as a large reality. Now we move to the unity of the man and the nature. Here, the poet has beautifully synchronized the company of the nature to the man. When this lady bent down to the ground for harvesting, for cutting the crops, she was not alone. She was with the nature. And when she was singing the song, that song was filled in the air. And also she was associated with the nightingale and cuckoo, the singing birds. Now we move to the setting. The poem is set in the mountainous region of Scotland. This poet is taking a walk through these highlands, and when he sees something which makes him stop. Here our poem was born. Now we move to the form. Basically, this poem is having 4 stanzas, and each stanza is divided into 8 lines. Now first stanza is all about the scene, about the nature, about the mountainous region where the poet was taking a walk and he saw the Scottish lady singing a song alone in the field. Then we move to the second stanza. In the second stanza, poet has compared 2 melodious birds. One is nightingale, another one is cuckoo, and these two birds are compared with the Scottish lady melodious song. And the poet says the Scottish lady's song was more melodious than that of those two birds. Then we move to the third stanza. Third stanza is all about wonders, about the content and the meaning of the song. As poet is not knowing the language that lady was singing, so he was not able to understand the meaning of the song, but he was enjoying the song as the song was melodious. But he also felt like that the song which that lady was singing is having a sad meaning in that. That was all about in the third stanza. I'll tell you in a coming step. Now fourth stanza is all about the everlasting impact of the song on the poet. So in short, I have made you understand what is there in all four stanzas. Now it will become more easy for you to understand. Let's move further. Now the rhyming scheme. See, I have already taught you about the rhyming scheme, as we have already done 2 or 3 more poems before. So in every poem there is a rhyming scheme. So what is the rhyming scheme of this poem? The rhyming scheme is A B C C D D. Understood, children? Now this poem is having a lyrical ballad. It is a collection of the poems by the William Wordsworth. From there we have taken out this poem. Okay. Now the tone and the atmosphere of the poem is very calm, very emotional and very peaceful. Language is simple and direct. So we have studied all about everything about the poem. We have studied about the theme, we have studied about the setting, we have studied about the form. Now we move towards the stanza, first stanza. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary highland lash, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sing a melancholy strain. Melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the valley profound is overflowing with the sound. Okay. Behold her. Here, this poet is saying to the traveler who were passing by the mountainous region. This poet said to those travelers, look there, that lady alone in the field. She is singing a melodious song and busy in her own world, cutting, harvesting, and then he asked the travelers, do not disturb the girl who is singing there. If you want to listen the song, stop here and listen, otherwise you can pass by. Then this poet observed that that lady cut the crops and bind the grains by herself alone. Then she was singing a melancholy song. Melancholy means sad song. Then the poet said, oh listen, for the vale profound is overflowing in the sound. This is the appreciation given by the poet to the lady, saying that the beautiful, the melodious song which that lady was singing is in the air, is overflowing throughout the valley, deep valley where this echo sound is being produced. And he was very happy to listen this melodious song. See, here is the first stanza explanation. Now listen it very carefully. In the first stanza, the poet implores his listener to stop and look at the girl who is reaping and listening by herself in the field. The poet asks the listener to stop here and gently pass so as not to disturb the smooth flowing of the song. As she cut and binds the grains, she sings a melancholy song, and the whole valley is full of the song. The song sounds to the poet to be sad one. Wordsworth emphasizes the girl isolation by using the word as single, isolate, solitary, by herself, and alone. The girl is alone but surrounded by nature. The act of reaping alone in the field binds the girl to the earth. Also, as the girl sings the melodious song, it is filling the air a lonely valley. She becomes the almost completely merged with nature. Second stanza. No nightingale did not chant more welcoming note to weary bands of the travellers in some shady haunts among Arabian sands. This stanza says that the poet compared the lady's song to the first bird, that is nightingale, and he says that even nightingale is not having that much melodious song power that this lady is singing presently. This lady's song is welcoming the tired travelers of the Arabian Sea and giving a little relaxation by singing a song, and this music is in the air. So here the poet is comparing the lady with the nightingale and saying that this lady's song is far better than the nightingale. This is nightingale on the screen, you can see. Now, a voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo's bird, breaking the silence of the sea among the farthest Hebrides. The voice so thrilling never ever heard means this type of voice is never heard. Which type of voice? This melodious song which this Scottish girl was singing, this type of voice is never ever heard even in the springtime when this melodious song cuckoo bird sing. Even that time also this type of song voice has not been heard. This voice is breaking the silence of the sea among the farthest Hebrides. Means Hebrides is an island group of the Scotland. Okay, so far this voice is reaching and breaking the silence of the sea. See, look at the screen. You can see cuckoo, and this blue color you are able to see Hebrides. It's a island of Scotland. Now the meaning and the explanation of the second stanza is here. In the second stanza, the poet compares the woman's song to the sound of the two singing birds, saying that her excels those of the nightingale and cuckoo. The woman's sound is more welcoming than any chant of the nightingale who tired travelers in the Arabian desert, and that the cuckoo bird is in spring never sang with the voice so exciting. Here in second stanza, poet is comparing the woman with two birds, nightingale and cuckoo, and the poet is saying that woman's sound is more appealing, more chanting better than those two birds, as if that tired travelers are getting relaxed by listening this. And cuckoo Cuckoo bird is being heard in the spring season, and that type of even that time also this type of voice is not being heard. That was all. Now we move to third stanza. Will no one tell me what she sing? Perhaps the plaintive number flows for old, unhappy, far off things and battles long ago. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today? Some nature's sorrow, loss, or pain that has been or maybe again. This is third stanza, and here the poet is saying that, asking the travelers, can anybody tell me what is the meaning of the song which this lady is singing? When this poet didn't get the response or the answer back, then he started guessing out. Because he can easily guess that this lady who's singing song is sad song. So then he started connecting, might be the old, unhappy, far off battles which was fought before, and because of that battle and all, she's feeling sad and singing a song like that. Then secondly, he thought that might be the matter of day-to-day life that must be there paining this lady, and so because of that pain she's singing the song. Then the thirdly, he guessed out that might be the sorrow, loss, or pain or suffering that might can lead her to sing this melancholy song. Now the third stanza explanation is such way. The poet is utterly charmed by the woman's song, although he cannot understand the language of the song and so cannot say what the song is about. The speaker tries to imagine what the song might be about, because it seems sad. He guesses that her song might be about some old unhappy thing, some past sorrow, pain, loss, or it might be about some battles fought by her people long time back. Or perhaps he says it is a simple song about some present sorrow, pain, or loss, or might be matter of today. That was third stanza. Now the last stanza, the fourth stanza is, whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no end. I saw her singing at her work, and over the sickle bending. I listened motionless and still. As I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore. Long after it was heard no more. The last stanza, the poet is saying that this lady who is singing song and busy in his harvesting work, cutting the crops and singing a song, this song of this lady is having no end. So after listening peacefully, enjoyed the song very peacefully, motionless and still, then the poet thought to move. So he started mounting up the hills. Then when he moved, he took the song, the music in his heart, and after reaching to the house, that song was there in his heart. Then after that he tried to listen to, but he was not able to hear such type of singing song. Here we have completed this poem. Now I will give the explanation. The poet ends the poem saying that as the speaker understand that whatever the reapers sing about, he listened motionless and still. And as he travelled up the hill, he carried her song with him in his heart. Long after, he could no longer hear it. The beauty of the song had touched his heart and lingered in his mind, giving him joy as he travelled up the hill and carried her song with him long after he could no longer hear it. Here we have completed our poem, explanation of all 4 stanzas. Now rest summary and everything I will give you in part 2. So this is part 1 we have completed, and it will be continued in the part 2. I hope you have understood. That's all for today. Stay home, stay safe, but keep studying. That is all for today. Good luck, goodbye.